Hello, and welcome to the Physical Therapy Owners Club podcast. I'm Nathan Shields, and got my good buddy, Adam Robin, physical therapist, owner, founder, CEO of Southern Physical Therapy Clinic in Picayune, Mississippi, back on board with me today. What's happening, Adam?
Man, don't forget coach.
Yeah, if you guys listened to my podcast with Adam, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 episodes ago, I introduced Adam as a new coach who has onboarded with me at the Physical Therapy Owners Club. If you didn't know, in the past, over the past 3+4 years, I've been coaching PT owners to be more profitable, successful, empower them to create great things in their lives. And I allude to it in the podcast, but if you haven't caught on, that's what I've been doing. And I do that with PT owners, and I've brought on Adam to start coaching as well. And if you want to talk to us, go to ptoclub.com. But Adam is a successful physical therapy owners coach as well. And I brought him onto the team. So, man, I'm excited to bring you on and start helping more people.
Crushing it, man. Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's fun, man. It's fun. And I think, just like if you go into business, you're kind of a coach, you know what I mean? So it's just fun. It's fun to be able to do more of that because I really enjoy it.
Right. Cool. Well, today, what were we talking about last time? I started off by saying today, but now I'm referencing our last episode. We were talking about what physical therapy owners need to know in order to be successful. And if you remember, we talked a lot about how knowledge was so important. Improving yourself was so important, right? In order to make gains. And I know that's something that you as an owner have really focused on ever since you started your clinic, and kudos to you for doing it. But soon after taking ownership of the clinic, you decided to improve yourself and have been doing that successfully to the point where by improving yourself, getting the coaching consulting, you moved from one clinic and now you're about to open up your third, right?
Correct.
Just in the matter of a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So awesome, man. But this time, today's topic is a little bit different because you've been relatively successful at this, especially in considering today's market, especially considering you're in a relatively small town, right? Picayune's how big?
I think the city of Picayune, we have about maybe 8,000 folks that live there.
Slidell's nearby. How big is it?
Yes. Slidell's pretty big. Well, compared to Picayune, I think we probably have about 30,000 there.
You're out there pushing your elbows to the side in the middle of the group, trying to find all those PTs for them to Picayune and Slidell, Mississippi, right?
Yes. Developing relationships, man.
Yeah. So that's what we want to talk about today is what you've been doing successfully to recruit, how you're successfully train, and also how you successfully retain your team. Where we wanted to talk, if you listen to previous podcasts, I talked with Will Humphreys plenty about recruiting, and he even has an amazing program, Rockstar Recruiter, that you can check out to help you recruit PTs. What I'm excited about doing with you today is that you're still in the thick of it. Will and I have sold our clinics a number of years ago. He is training people on how to recruit PTs, but I want to talk to you about how you're not only recruiting, what are some of your best practices to not just recruit, but then hire and then successfully retain them over time. So I wanted to extend the focus or pull out so that our perspective is not just recruiting, but also the whole scope of the employee journey today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning, man. So what have you found in today's market? We're sitting here close to the middle of 2023. What have you done successfully to recruit physical therapists?
I'm sitting here thinking, like, as I hear you talk, I just kind of start thinking about my journey and about what was the trigger, the catalyst to help me realize that, you know what, I can do this. Like I can find PTs, I can find people. I think my practice is pretty cool and I think people would want to work here, And so I think that, that's the first thing that you kind of have to get to is you have to find that mindset of like, you know what you're building is valuable and it has an identity and it means something and you have a vision and you have a purpose and you have values and you have a freaking awesome team. And who wouldn't want to work for you? Right. And so you got to have that. You got to dive into your purpose. You got to dive into your values.
Right.
If you don't have that, then if you can't sell yourself on that, then how are you going to sell others on that, right?
Yeah, imagine the difference in mindset, because I remember this distinctly, and I've shared it with before a couple of times on the podcast. Things changed for recruiting for us, and I'll speak specifically to Will because he was the recruiter in our partnership. When the mindset switched from it's hard to recruit in Arizona in today's market, and especially in our outskirt locations, right? So a couple of the cities where we had clinics were 20, 30, 45 minutes away from metropolitan Phoenix. And so once we changed that mindset from it's hard to recruit in these areas because people are driving past 20 to 30 clinics on their way to get to ours, to a different mindset, which was people would be lucky to work for us. We
Right.
have an amazing culture, provide great work. The small town environment beats it all. It's wonderful. The people are awesome. They're down to earth. It's a great place to work. And we thought we would have in that situation, recruiting was easy. And when you take on that mindset, then the limiting beliefs kind of start going away. And not only that, like you said, you present differently to people at that point.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the verbiage in the first mindset's going to be, well, you're going to pass a bunch of clinics to get to ours, but it's really worth it. It's a really nice place to work, versus the other one being, tell us why you think you're worthy of working for us.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what makes you think we should hire you? It's not a condescending attitude like that, but the power is different, and you present totally different when you come into those two conversations.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset. It's a mindset first. And not only that, but like as the owner, getting clear on what your vision is for the company and how that next PT or OT or speech therapist or whoever you're hiring fits into that vision, right? Because then the conversation becomes, let me tell you what's going to happen to you over the next 5 years, right? If you qualify, if you're a right fit, or if we're a right fit for you, and we go on this journey together, let me share you a little bit about what I think we could do together, right? People want to be a part of that,
right?
And your ability to get really clear on that and to be excited about it,
Mm-hmm.
Communication and the fun that you have and the connection that you have with people is just, it's like, I don't mind going around knocking on doors and meeting PTs anymore because I'm excited. I want to tell the world about it.
You want to tell everybody about the Southern Physical Therapy Clinic story.
That's right. Let me tell you where we're going. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, let's take it back a step or two. And that is, where are you finding the people to talk to?
Yeah.
Where are these watering holes where you can start that conversation?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it's an awesome question because that's the ultimate question where you start. Where do they live? And not only where do they live, who are they seeing before they see you? Right? So, I mean, obviously, posting a job ad on all the major job boards is going to be important. I haven't had much success with that, but it's important to have some type of presence on the job boards.
Right.
But not only that, I mean, getting involved with the school systems is important, and meeting those people, meeting those student advocates in those school systems and knowing who they are by name and taking them to lunch and getting involved and doing guest lectures for their program and going to the career days, putting that on your calendar, right? That's a big deal.
That's a little bit, can be an immediate play, and it should be an immediate play because you should be taking students, honestly, right? But it's also a long-term play because as you interact with those professors, especially the ones that are setting up the internships and getting in good graces with them and providing guest lectures and that kind of stuff wherever they might need, you're also getting a peek into the first and second year students, and you start socializing with them.
And those students know those students, and they have a friend that goes to this school, right? And so now your network starts to grow.
Once you start finding the cream of the crop within those classes,
that's right.
Birds of a feather, right, flock together, and they join you. That's when we really started noticing a big difference. Is we hired one or two that were top of the class, sold them on our culture, all the stuff that we're talking about. And then they would tell their friends, oh, you guys got to come work here.
Come check it out.
I hear what you're talking about. Yeah, I can imagine that would suck. Maybe you should come join us.
Mhm.
And then that's when, honestly, we started building a bench of therapists that literally told us, when you have an opening, please let me know.
That's awesome.
In a
That's awesome.
difficult place to, well, at the time, when we told ourselves it was a difficult place to recruit, it didn't become difficult anymore.
You said it's a long play, but it's all a long play.
That's,
You know,
we were always hiring. That was our mantra.
everything's a long
We are always hiring. We're always in the process. We never took our ads down. We always had them up. We were always accepting resumes.
And it's not as long as you think, though. I'll say that. You know, I know whenever I think about the light switch went off for me, and it's still switching, right? But the first light switch went off for me whenever I realized that if you wanted to know how to recruit, all you needed to do is know how to market, right? It's not the same hat, but it's the same principles.
Right.
If you can market, if you can sell a plan of care and you can market, you can recruit, right? And what's the word on the lingo around marketing is it takes about 90 days for you to start seeing a return on any type of marketing effort. Yep. Same thing with recruiting. It's 90, 100 days,
kind of,
right? It's the same. It's the same. It's people, right? We're dealing with people.
Yeah.
So
do you involve yourself in much social media advertising? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on other social media sites?
Yeah, I would say Facebook and LinkedIn are a must.
Okay.
Especially nowadays, there's a lot of schools that really encourage students to create a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And to start to present themselves as a professional. So having
you can start searching for those.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. Having some systems where you can search and find those people and connect and network and provide them value and follow their journey through school, and see how you might be able to support them.
Yeah. One of my friends, Mark Moore in Arizona, I've had him on the podcast before, but he's a testament to this in that he has been sending out emails to the list of licensed therapists in the state for, I don't know, maybe almost a year, and has been utilizing LinkedIn for a long period of time. Just reaching out and making connections and occasionally sending out messages to physical therapists. I think 2 months ago, he's like, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I'm getting responses to my emails that I never got. I got 0 responses before, and I don't know what it was about the content of this email, but it hit and it struck. It's like I found the honeypot in fishing parlance, right? And then via LinkedIn, same thing. And this all happened like in the same month. He'd been posting things on LinkedIn for a period of time, and out of the blue, a few people started reaching out to him via LinkedIn. And one of them said, I've been following you for about a year. I'm out of state, and now we're looking to move into Arizona. I'd like to interview with you. And he's like, who knew that anyone was listening to anything I said on social media sites? Well, all of a sudden it happened, right? So you're doing it because that's what you have. That's, like you said, marketing. There's many a times we go marketing to the local doctors because it's routine, but you do it in order to get your name out. It's like hitting a bunch of singles in baseball. Eventually someone's going to cross the plate. Right?
It's right. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. I'm so glad you said that because it reminded me of a story, short story. But last year I went to a career day event with one of the local PT schools. And I got there and, of course we have our sign up list and people are signing up and they want to do an interview and whatnot. And
so you were providing mock interviews?
Yeah, we were doing mock interviews and we were doing a lot of stuff. But there was like, oh yeah, I heard it. I follow you on LinkedIn.
Really?
Right. And then I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And then I get another competitor company that comes up to me and they're like, oh yeah, I see. I've seen some of your emails. Right. So people see it, right? It starts to circulate into the community.
Right.
And before you know it, you're that guy on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, I'd love to hear. Let's talk. Let's grab lunch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So a lot of good advice that you recommend that we've shared here regarding recruiting. Taking the next step, what have you found has been successful okay, you got their ear, you built a relationship with them. What are you seeing that's been successful to really pull them into, or I was going to say pull them into the clinic, but them wanting to join your clinic to the point where they'll sign the offer?
Mhm. Well, I think that, I think it's also important for us to remember that not everybody's right for us, right? So we do want to make sure that we get really clear on who our ideal client is. What are our values? What's our purpose?
Right.
And what type of person would have the characteristics that would align well with these things?
Yeah.
And typically, most of the time, that sells itself because the person is naturally built for those types of values, right? But if we're talking about new grads, I think in my experience, there are two things that new grads want: mentorship and money, right? And if you can present a package that will provide those two things for them, then they're typically very interested in
Can I get even more specific about money? Considering where a lot of the statistics are, you could even say student loan repayment programs. Like if you wanted to get specific, if you hit on those two things, some kind of, and it doesn't have to be a big deal mentorship program that's drawn out over 2 years and whatnot, just show that you have some formalized mentorship structure where you're touching base with them on a regular basis. And some kind of student loan repayment stuff, just talk to a CPA. It's pretty easy to determine what you can give tax-free, right, in a given year. But if you had some kind of student loan repayment program, those two are huge.
Yeah, and I think even better than that, this is a nugget. So if you're listening, write this down. It's not so much about what you're willing to pay them now, but they just want to know that they have the opportunity to earn more in the future, right? So if you can paint a very clear picture with them of like, this is your starting salary, but this is year one, this is year two, and these are the checkpoints to get there. Here's year three, here's clinical director, here's partnership opportunities or what, right? And this is the type of income that you can make there. Does that sound interesting to you? Well, of course. Well, tell me more about that, right? Yeah. So they want a journey. They want to know that they have a journey to go down.
Right. I love that you brought up purpose and values, of course, because we called it value-based hiring, and on the other end, value-based firing. And we were very upfront about our values and our purpose. We stated that not only in the ads, we'd present our values in the ads and ask them, hey, if you align with these values, reach out to us. And then in the interview process, talking about our values, asking them how they might represent some of those values in their previous work experiences or in their life, was very valuable to us. And if they weren't able to, that kind of in and of itself kind of weeds people out. Like if they read that and we're like, then good, don't answer, please don't answer the ad, please. Or same thing, if we just you can get vibes, especially as you gain some experience in interviewing, you can get vibes when you start talking about values and see who gets excited and leans forward versus those who just sit there, cross their arms, legs crossed, and answer the questions. So finding people who are aligned. And I love what you said about knowing the personality traits and characteristics that best fit your clinic. And so it's really important because I find that as I'm coaching the owners who are looking to hire somebody, I try to get them to be clear about who their ideal employee is and build out that avatar. So if you've listened to my recruiting podcasts with Will, he would say first, going back to recruiting, build out that avatar. Who's your ideal provider? What's their name? How old are they? What does their family situation look like? What hobbies do they have? What work experience do they have? Did they play team sports? Were they sports at all? What kind of pursuits do they have in life in general, and also pursuits professionally? That's an avatar, right? And so build that avatar to even include, are they a generally happy person? Are they
what do they believe in?
Yeah, do they show evidence of being able to complete things and
Mhm.
achieve things, right?
Mhm.
What experience in their lives shows that they have worked well with others, right? Are they coming into, what tone level are they as they walk in? Are they professional and nice, or are they chipper? And do you prefer one or the other? So get really specific about personality traits. And this is going to come out more and more so in the job shadowing, which I highly recommend that your interview process is not just one-on-one interviews, but also a job shadow for at least a 2-hour period of time. That's going to show up more. Those personality traits and characteristics, how they interact with people, how they interact with patients, how they interact with the other team members will tend to show up. And knowing what you're looking for is going to help you to weed people out much faster.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's also really, really important to recruit your team to help you with that.
Yeah.
You know, you as the owner, I'm assuming we're talking to mostly owners here, you have a level of stress placed on you that most people don't. So sometimes your judgment can be affected by that level of stress, and it's nice to have that person that you really trust, who can kind of reel you in and say, "Hey, I like this person," or "I don't like this person," and also give them permission to pull the trigger on that hire. Because what I've found is that your team members will own that. If they are the person, I'm the person who said that this person is aligned, therefore I'm invested in this person's success now, as opposed to, "Hey guys, here's our new person. Like, good luck." Right? We'll make it work. They're not invested. It's almost like they're like, "Who's this outsider?" Right? Like,
Yeah, it's like you bringing your kid to 3rd grade in the middle of the school year. You throw him into the classroom and close the door behind him, and you, as the parent, walk away, right? Like, good luck, kid. Where if you are allowing for, a front office manager, if you have one, a clinic director, if you have one, to ultimately be the decision maker, that's another level. That's next level leadership, is to give them the opportunity to make those kind of decisions in your clinic, because it's going to be a huge learning experience either way for them.
that's right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And like you said, they're going to be personally vested in that person if they were the ones that went to bat for them.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
all you've got to do as the owner really is to say, okay, sign off on the financial aspect of it. Are you clear that they are in line with our values? Did you follow our interview process and they've passed them all and have got input from others and it's all thumbs up, an ecstatic thumbs up? Then yes, go ahead and hire them. You're on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's your person. Go for it.
Right.
That's funner.
Now make sure they're successful. Go.
That's it. I know that kind of gets into more of the retention topic. We kind of fast forwarded through, kind of closing that deal and kind of into the retention. But yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you found? What are you doing to prepare these new employees prior to hire, so that they know what's needed to be done in order to be successful in your company?
Great question. I think that, I think it really comes down to, you have to get clear on what's important to you as the owner and as the business, right? And there's an unlimited list of items that we can talk about. We could talk about KPIs and billing and culture and dress and the way you talk and we can just go down this endless list. But if you can get clear on the 5 most important things, like, you have to decide, only you can decide that as the owner. We've got our list down to 10, and I don't have it with me. I don't remember exactly what it is, but we have the big 10 list. These are the big 10. The big 10.
Okay, so they could be different for different owners. You're just saying, make sure you have at least 5 top priority things for you to be a successful employee in the clinic.
Everything else, if they don't get it perfect, we're going to be all right. But these 10, we cannot be flexible with.
These are the
right?
non-negotiables, right?
These are the non-negotiables, right? Like if you do this and this and you kind of wiggle, we can live with that, right? And I think that's important.
Definitely. I like
It's really important.
I like that. I mean, obviously, living up to the core values, right there, you'll have however many values, 4 to 5.
Yeah, the values are definitely like item number one. Like you have to be, the values by
Or
heart.
the first 4 or 5, right? One thing that's important, I think, for providers is to be clear. I would hate to have an employee, and I'm sure I did this all the time. I would hate to have an employee that comes on and then post hire is surprised at the expectations. So to have an accountability meeting within the first 30 days, it's like, oh yeah, you didn't know that we saw 60 patients a week. That was the minimum expectation.
Right.
Like sharing that kind of expectation after the fact, I think does a huge disservice and is kind of backhanded. You need to be clear and upfront. Like this is when and I'm talking about providers, right? And it could be different for other team members, but for providers, this is the schedule that you're expected to see. This is how many patients you're expected to see based on your salary. There is a bonus program at these levels, that kind of thing. Also, we expect you to know the difference between AMA and 8-minute billing rules and bill and ethically, justifiably document your billing codes on a regular basis. And, then so some production expectations, I think, should be clear during the interview process so they're not surprised when they get there and they're like, oh, wait, I thought we were doing one-on-one care for an hour for each patient. And you don't want that to be a surprise.
No, I think that's the expectations talk, right? And this is what you can expect from us, right? The company will provide X, Y, Z opportunity and fulfillment and curve and blah, 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 blah. And in return, this is what we expect from you and your role as a physical therapist. And, you go through your Big 10 list and just make sure that there's some alignment there, and then also reiterate that on the new hire training, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're pulling out your Big 10 list before.
Oh yeah.
Before the offer?
Before the offer. For
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want them to be really clear what they're getting into.
Yeah, of course. And I know you alluded to some shadowing. Absolutely. Shadowing. Mingle with the therapists. Ask your questions.
We dodged some bullets because of the shadow process. If we left it to the interview process alone, some people are interview all-stars, man.
Yeah.
They can put on the facade for 30, 60 minutes and blow smoke. But you get them in their environment for an hour or two where they have to actually engage. That's when they'll either show like all-star qualities. And honestly, it's almost some of the people that would want to hire are like, I don't care how well you can treat. The fact that you engage so well with the rest of the team means you're a fit for my company, and I can train you. I can train you on the treatment stuff.
That's right. You hire their personality.
Yeah, where there were people who they could run circles around you technically treating patients, but then when I got them in the shadowing portion of the interview process, they were pulling out their phones. They were leaning against the wall as they were watching someone get treated, not talking. It's like, that doesn't fit. Sorry.
And it's hard these days because therapists are hard to find. So it's hard to let that person go. You need that body in there, but I have seen, unfortunately, a lot of larger companies, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 clinics. And the owners get there and they realize that their team is full of people who are not aligned, and their company starts to crumble, and they start to get in a big bind. Highly, I would highly try to avoid building your company or your business or your team in rocky foundation. Because that's going to be tough, real tough. You're taking out a loan that you can't repay.
Yeah. The pain that they cause many times isn't just that one person. They usually infect other people around.
Exactly. They drag the whole team down.
Right. So tell me about your onboarding process. That can look so different for so many people. And for me, for so many years, it was like, Follow that guy around
Oh
for
yeah.
the days and see what he does. And then you're off to the races on your own. Good luck. Hopefully yours is a lot better than that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that onboarding is probably one of the major things that we spend a lot of time on in our company, just because it's so important, right? Um, and that gets, we want you to, that you should have some form of training built out for each position. Ideally, with some video lectures of yourself explaining, right, and having them check off on key elements of the position, whether that be selling the plan of care or billing, or their participation in the team meeting. What does that look like? What's their role? What's their the responsibilities there? But not only that, shadowing every position in the clinic.
Oh, you have them shadow every position, huh?
Every position, marketing, front office, recruiting. And I want them to know the entire patient journey, the entire client journey. So that way, when they're ready to go, they understand exactly where they fit in and what their role is and how they can support others as well.
Right. Yeah.
So
we would spend the first day. If I'm not mistaken, it took at least one day to go through the employee handbook.
yeah, I would say at least a day.
And we would spend plenty of time talking about the story behind our clinic.
Yep.
People love to hear stories. And if they know the story, then they can have something to be proud of, right? We started at this level and now we're here and I'm a part of that now. We'd have conversations about values. And we would try to make these group activities. We were at a point where we had multiple clinics, so it was kind of easy to hire people on the same hiring day and do this all at once, but whatever, you can do it with just one-on-one. And then we would go through the employee handbook and talk about the different policies. Here is the dress code. Here is our party policy. Here is how you ask for time off. Here is our disciplinary procedures. Here is how you submit for bonuses. Here's how you accrue paid time off. All those things we tried to we nailed it down or brought it down to about a 25-page document. And we probably spend the first day on that entirely.
Yeah, I mean, our training program is all on Google Slides.
Oh.
So it's just a PowerPoint with video links, and they have a follow along worksheet that they have to complete and they have to submit.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. There's also some screen share of like, hey, this is how you document an evaluation. You click this button and then
this is for the EMR specifically.
EMR specific stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we want to set that person up for success. And man, I tell you, that time that you spend with them in the beginning, it seems like a waste of time, right? Because you're like,
right,
just get in there and start make me some money.
Yeah, I need to get my ROI on this really quick.
But if you take some time, man, 6 months later, you're going to be like, wow, look what this person is doing. And it's all from what you built. And there's so much reward with that. Look at the impact they're making with this team. And it's like, who would have thought?
Yeah. If you have just a little bit of structure, you don't even have to go as far as we have in this conversation. If you just have some structure to talk about the basics, set the expectations, let me get you as comfortable as possible in your position in our company, so you know exactly where all your responsibilities lie, what your expectations are, what your communication lines look like. You know the structure of the organization and who goes where and who does what. If you can just do that, spend at least a day or two being really clear on that, and then give them the time to digest their job description over periods of time, it will go a really long way. And then you'll stand out from 80% of all the other companies out there.
Yeah. I would also recommend, I don't know what your experience has been like, but there's really been 2 phases of onboarding for us. Mm-hmm. I would say the first 30 days is a lot of those alignment and checklist items that we're talking about.
Okay.
Um, and my experience has been the first 30 days, it takes at least a month for them to kind of understand how to use the EMR and what the values are and what the expectations are, right?
Yeah.
Then once they have that foundation, then days 30 through 90, you can focus on performance, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if you try to mix them together aggressively, then they're like, wait a minute, I don't know what button to click yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think it's hard to really, I think it's really hard to push production to really soon until they really get their feet underneath them. Exactly. Maybe a more experienced physical therapist that's been around the block for a decade or two, you can expect more. We like to see it as there was the general employee training that all the team members, no matter what position you were in, needed to learn and understand values, general policy and procedures.
Right.
This is how we do payroll, that kind of stuff. This is where you put your stuff when you come to work. This is our cell phone policy. Those are all general employee things. And then there's job specific training. Exactly. And those are two different trainings, right?
Exactly.
And you get job specific training according to the handbook or the job description and the playbook is the word I'm trying to think of. That tells you how to sell a plan of care.
Exactly.
Or how to collect the copay at the front desk.
That's right.
And that's different, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can teach some of those minor things and expect some level of capability or expertise by the end of 30 days, but I don't think that's where your focus is necessarily on that production side of things.
Right.
That's
right. Yeah.
And so based on those two things, we talked about essentially recruiting, hiring, and then the third thing, onboarding. I mean, if you've done that well, if you're at a point where you're developing a culture and retention is so much easier. Right.
I don't remember who said this or who coined this phrase, but somebody said culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah, I think it was Peter Drucker.
Okay, you're smarter than me.
I think I remember that. That was
that's so true.
Podcast a long time ago.
Oh, was it?
It was. Yeah, it was one.
Awesome. Okay, it might have been you then.
Yeah.
So, but that's so true, man. I just feel like every time we double down on our culture, like it just wins. It wins every time, So I love that you said that, and I think that's really the catalyst for retention is the culture, and to empower and to motivate and inspire your team.
Right.
That's what retention is.
Yeah, we were really clear that there were some people on our team that should not consider their jobs with us to be permanent. We understand. We wanted to get people to a higher level
that's right.
achievement in their lives. You can't expect your techs to be there the rest of their lives. Your front desk person, you want to see them progress in their profession and in their life. We want to help you get to the next place. So we were clear about that. And we'd even say, we want to help you become a better person, even if that means being a better employee for someone else, right? So we were clear about that, yet we also knew that based on the fact that we were value-based hirers and also value-based firers, it was easy to weed out the people that weren't aligned. And then over time, the people that stayed really kept the culture in. Like it didn't take a lot of effort after that for people to say, we provided an environment, we provided some structure, and that structure was value-based. For example, when I say value-based, our weekly meetings, we would talk about our values, who lived out the values. We gave yearly awards based on values. So we really pushed the values aspect. And we would hold people accountable to the values if they weren't living up to them. And over time, we were able to filtrate down to people who really believed in a culture and that knew they could get paid more at other places, but didn't want to leave.
Right.
That's right. And that's when retention is easy.
Yeah. I think that, I had a conversation with a leader on my team recently and a few leaders. And I said, guys and girls, the patients are no longer our focus. Our focus is the employees, right? Like when you're really small, you're like, how do I make these patients happy?
Yeah.
How do I challenge them, but also provide support and inspire them to reach their goals?
Right.
And you just, as you get a little bit bigger, you start developing a leadership team, that focus shifts. Now your customer is the employee experience.
Right.
Right? How do I onboard and manage the expectations, create a plan of care, and help facilitate them towards their goals, their career goals,
Their professional goals. Yeah.
and keep them happy and profitable. That's it. And that's what culture is to me, anyway.
Yeah. When you get to the leadership level and you're managing other leaders, especially as an owner, maybe you have some clinic director in place, front office manager, you name it, where you might have been the coach to individual providers at the time. Now you need to coach the leadership team on how to coach.
Right. You coach the leaders to coach the providers. It's
right?
fun though, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Man, it takes such work because it doesn't, for some people, it doesn't come naturally. And we're all such high achievers. Honestly, physical therapists, to get through physical therapy school, I'll say that they're high achieving people in general, right?
Yeah.
And so you're asking them to pull away from something that they're expert at to
Right.
this nebulous, I'm a coach of other leaders. I mean, you tell them to do that and they're like, well, where do I start? Right. Well, that's where you and I step in as coaches of the leaders, but they need some help and support, and you need to coach them on, well, if nothing else, this is what I would do. You teach them the way that you would do things. And if you want to work through that, if you could improve upon it and get their feedback, great. But this is how I would approach it. And this is what's been successful for me in the past. Start from there and then hold people accountable, have them report up as much as possible, and then hold to the values, right? Hold to the values and you'll develop a culture. Have team meetings, have team activities.
Yeah.
I know a client of mine. Yeah. A client of mine, I had to challenge her because her fiance and her family members were like, dude, whatever you got going on at that clinic, you got to figure out that magic sauce. You got to figure out the secret sauce there. And so I challenged her. I'm like, I don't know what your secret sauce is, but between now and next month when I talk to you again, I want you to figure it out. She's like, where do I start? I said, well, interview your team members and interview your patients. What makes them happy to be there? Why do they keep coming back? What makes them look forward to it? And over time, you're going to start hearing similar adjectives, right? Or certain activities that come up. And one of hers was that I think they did some kind of charitable activity as a clinic every quarter, whether it was a fun run or clothing drive or food drive or you name it, Secret Santas. They would, that was part of their secret sauce. That was part of their culture, right? And giving back to the community like that. So finding that secret sauce that makes it special is really helpful. And then doubling down on it. How can we do more of it without sacrificing its specialness?
Right. Yeah, I think people remember the way you make them feel, and that's really what it is. Like, how can we make people feel good? Charitable donations is probably a really good way to do that.
Yeah.
They feel gratitude and they feel joy. They feel appreciation. They feel connected with purpose. Like, that's what you want. You want them to feel good.
Yeah. We also, I don't think I've pushed it much on the podcast. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but we made National Physical Therapy Month a big deal.
Yeah.
Like October we had games galore. We had clinic versus clinic things. We made
that's fun.
It was dress up days and decorations and minute to win it games, you name it, all kinds of quizzes and challenges and prizes, whatnot. But we made it fun. So, having fun is essential, should be part of the culture. Find ways to do it, man. So that was for us, but it's imperative that people kind of find that. What do they want out of their company and start developing that culture?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a good buddy of mine that I think he's got about 15 clinics or so, and they do a Christmas light competition. each clinic every Christmas. So, they have an awesome culture. But just remind them, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So we're a little bit up on time, but man, anything else you want to say regarding the employee journey?
No, I think that what I really mostly want to do is just encourage people and just let them know that you got this. You've got the answers. You can do it. Your place is worthwhile, and you've got so much potential. If you're willing to give it a shot, and if you need some help, please reach out. Shoot me an email. Shoot Nathan an email. I'm always available. You can email me at arobin@southernptclinic.com. And, you don't have to be a client. If you got a question, shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer any type of recruiting questions you may have, or any type of business questions that you have in general. So I want to see people do well.
Yeah, we're really excited to work together, and I know you come at it with a ton of strength. So this could be really cool. Otherwise, you can also reach out. Like I said, go to ptoclub.com, where you'll see previous episodes of the podcast, and also learn a little bit more about what we can provide as far as business coaching for PT owners. In the meantime, Adam, thanks for joining me, man.
Yes, sir. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll catch up on another podcast here soon.